This is going to be the second video about rational exponents. So let's start and review the rule that was in the first video. And the rule said something like this. If I have a radical sign, so I want to take a root of something, let's say it's a cube root, let's say it's the third root of some number or variable. I'm going to call it, say it's x, and x is the same as x to the first. So I want to put an exponent there. What the rule told me to do is to take the base that I have under that radical sign, the x, take it outside of the radical sign, and then I'm going to have an exponent, and the exponent is going to be a fraction. A fraction, by the way, is a rational number. So when people talk about rational numbers, they're talking about fractions. Okay, and for that fraction, which is the exponent, the denominator is going to be the 3. The denominator is the index of my radical sign. So the denominator is 3, and the numerator is the exponent that my base under the radical sign had originally. So that's a 1. Okay, so if this was the fourth root of x, it would be x to the 1/4. If it was the fifth root of x, it would be x to the 1/5, and so on. Now, what if we have the cube root of x squared? Okay, well, one of the things about math is if you have a rule, you can't decide you like the rule for some numbers and you don't like it for other numbers. But the only place where that really works is if one of your numbers is 0, like you can't divide by 0. But I don't want to disregard my rule just because I now have x squared instead of x to the first. In one case I had a 1, the other case I have a 2. So let's see if the rule works. Okay, so the rule tells me take this base, this x, take it out of the radical sign, make a fraction where my exponent's going to go. The denominator of the fraction is the index, is the 3, since I want the cube root of x squared. And the numerator of the fraction is the exponent that the number under the radical sign, the radicand, that it had. So this tells me that the cube root of x squared should be x to the 2/3. And because we can go back and forth, if I have an equal sign, that would also mean that x to the 2/3 is the cube root of x squared. But let's take that x to the 2/3 and make sure that works. So a cube root is a number I can multiply by itself 3 times and get back to the radicand, the number under the radical sign. Let's see if I can. So that would mean I want x to the 2/3 times x to the 2/3 times x to the 2/3 equals x squared. Okay, the bases are x all the way along the line. I'm multiplying these bases, so that means I want to add the 3 exponents. So I'm adding 2/3 plus 2/3 plus 2/3. Well, the denominators of these fractions are all the same, so the denominator of my answer, when I add these 3 together, is going to be 3. And then I'll just add the numerators, 2 plus 2 plus 2. 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6. So it's x to the 6/3. Well, 6 over 3 is the same as 2. So x to the 2/3 times x to the 2/3 times x to the 2/3 equals 2. Another way of saying that would be x to the 2/3, and that whole thing cubed raised to the 3rd power is, if I'm going to do something like this, I multiply the 2/3 times 3, so it's x to the 6/3, and once again, x to the 6/3 is x squared. Okay, so the rule one more time. You've got a radical sign, there's an index. If you don't see an index like this 3 here, then it just means you're taking the square root and the index is 2. You've got something underneath the radical sign, the variable. If the variable does not have an exponent, make the exponent 1. Okay? After that, all you're going to do is take that base that was under the radical sign. Take that number that was under the radical sign, take it outside of the radical sign. And then you go to make a fraction for your exponent. The denominator of the fraction is going to be the index, the little number in the notch of the radical sign. And the numerator of the fraction is going to be the exponent that you had underneath the radical sign. And that's really all there is to it. Take care. I'll see you next time.